Welcome to the Taking a Breath podcast with Parker Mays.
Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of the Taking a Breath podcast. Thanks so much for joining me. My guest today is Dr. Mary Hemphill. She's the CEO and founder of the Limitless Leader, a company that helps individuals ignite the leader in themselves so they can better serve their community, company, and personal career. She's a leadership expert and educator with over 15 years of professional experience as a teacher, administrator, state director, and university professor. So you can see why she fits right into where we're going to have this discussion today. But she holds a PhD in leadership studies and has led, coached, and impacted close to 25,000 individuals around the world on transformational and innovative strategy, self-empowerment, and leadership. So I'm so excited to have Dr. Mary on. For a little bit of context, she and I went live a couple of weeks ago now. We had this incredible conversation and energy, and I wanted to bring her on to have a conversation here on the podcast. But Dr. Mary, tell us a little bit about you real quick for anyone who didn't see our live and your mission.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. First of all, it's amazing to be here with you, Parker, to have this conversation with so many wonderful, wonderful community members with Taking a Breath podcast. And you know what? You said it. This is really about helping people shift into their limitlessness, no matter where they're showing up in the world. So it may be their home, it may be their company, it may be their community. But I think last year it really ignited this opportunity for people to dig into what I call their inner territory. And the Limitless Leader, we help you just unlock that, to add skills to your leadership arsenal with tools. I always say, with tools that you can apply tomorrow. Sometimes we have conversations and it feels really good, but we don't know how to put feet to it. So the Limitless Leader is the conduit to help you put it into action and take it from a thought into the action. And just as a former educator, I love meeting people where they are, but not leaving them there. So that's my goal and mission.
I love it. And something that we say at Dale Carnegie all the time is that knowledge isn't power until it's applied. You know, that idea of taking what you know and actually putting it into action. So I love that your mission is around that, because I'm so, it's great to read books and even listening to podcasts, right? You as a listener are here right now listening to this conversation, and we're going to bring some tools that you can take out of this conversation and apply, right? One of the things that I love is your message around, the word limitless, right? That's so much of your brand. And one of the things that we've talked about a little bit is limiting beliefs and these things that we hold about ourselves. I know it's something that's powerful for you. So turning those limiting beliefs and replacing them with positive affirmations. Tell us a little bit about that and what that's looked like for you in your path.
Absolutely. And what's so funny, Parker, is what people have to understand is that you will never go anywhere physically that you haven't already been mentally. I'm experiencing that just in my life. I just had the amazing opportunity to return to my alma mater of Meredith College. And they highlighted my book. And when I tell you, it was an honor that they asked my old professors to come. When I say old, I don't mean in age. I just mean old in that I've been out of college for a while. But they asked her to come back and to do my introduction.
Wow.
Parker, that was 20 years ago. And she talked about the day I sat in her office and said, I want to become a teacher and then a principal, and I want to impact the state, and I want to make this change in public education. Wow. People plant their limitlessness with their words and their actions, and they may not get a harvest. They may not see the fruit. They may not see it come into fruition until many years later. And so sometimes people get really discouraged in the hallway before they get to the next door, before they get to the next chapter. And I'm telling you, it may be a 20-year manifestation. But if you don't, in the meantime, in between time, feed yourself with positivity. I know I post affirmations every morning. Nobody's waking up and saying, I want to think and do and move positively for Mary Hemphill today. They're sometimes just trying to make it out of their stuff, right? They're just trying to deal with their stuff. So if you don't say, I'm going to invest in myself to speak to myself up here positively every day, nobody's going to do it for you. And what you'll find is you are going to go in the direction of your words. So if you say you're not worth it, you're going to show up in the boardroom, not worth it. You're going to show up at that interview, not worth it. You're going to go on a date, not worth it. But if you tell yourself, I'm worth it, I deserve love, I deserve to make a positive impact in this world, and I deserve to fuel myself with the energy to do it. You can't show up as anything less than that, right? And so I just feel as if we need to seek alignment in what we think, what we say, and what we do. And when we do, that's true limitlessness.
Oh, that's so good. And what I love about that and what you do with putting out social media, right? I follow, it's at the Limitless Lady. We'll go ahead and plug it right. Normally I wait till
Yes.
the end. No, I'm like right now, while you're listening. But every single day, it's those 3 affirmations that go up on the story. I'm one of the people, I'm seeing that, and I'm reading those to myself and believing that about myself. And one of the things that I think that for my target audience, which is 18 to 22-year-old students, we have the tendency to wake up, and the first thing we're doing is we're getting on our phones, getting on social media. But what happens is then it's flooded with so much stimulation, a lot of times negative news, all of this different stuff. And so when there are things that we can do as a part of the beginning of our day, building that momentum in a positive way, then already, right, we're not losing out, because by giving energy and giving your thoughts and mental space into what you're seeing in that first 5 minutes of your day, even, it's like, oh my gosh, it can change the direction of your entire day.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Parker. And I'm telling you this, every great leader I've studied, every great leader I listen to has a powerful morning routine that starts well before the world wakes up.
It's
So I'm talking,
intentional.
yes, it's
That's it.
intentional. And it's 4 a.m., it's 5 a.m. And they're thinking, before the world gets started,
Yeah.
how do I set this muscle
Right.
up for success so that everything else can follow?
Right. I think that for a lot of us, and I include myself in this, because
Mhm.
I've got the ups and downs, right? And
Yeah.
with school, it's like, oh, sometimes it's summer, right? Heading into summer and
Mhm.
saying, okay, I'm going to let myself, do whatever, have this break, and
Yeah.
that's okay. But I think that it's about being intentional, right? If I need to
Mhm.
rest and I need that time to sleep in or something, okay, take that time. But no, this is a day where I am letting myself rest. It's not a day where I'm just, couch potatoing out the whole
Exactly.
day. How can I be intentional about that
Yeah.
rest day? And if it's, hey, this is a work routine, being intentional about that. And so what's yours kind of looked like as you've started to develop even your personal routines? What do some of those key things look like?
Absolutely. Well, it definitely starts with powering up the morning with
Mm,
meditation and journaling.
love it.
And honestly, Parker, writing down what I'm thinking, writing down what I'm feeling and what I'm experiencing has been not only a conduit to get it out, because sometimes you just need to get it out and get it on paper,
Right.
but you can always go back to it. So I look at my journal just as kind of like my leadership diary, because personally and professionally, it's an opportunity for me to just get it on paper. And then if I need to speak about it later, talk to somebody about it later, it's written down.
Mm,
But even that meditation of just giving time to be quiet, I think last year I realized too that it's even more powerful to do my meditation outside, to where I can get fresh air, reconnect with nature. And I
I
know
love
that sounds
that.
like a real Zen moment, but
Yeah.
it's really true
So
how
good.
calming nature really is. And then just really kind of moving into action. So I heard somebody say one time, like, stop creating a to-do list
Ooh.
and really kind of move from busy to productive.
Mm,
So I just kind of created maybe 4 or 5 things, big things that I want to tackle, and I don't call it a to-do list. Like, I just call it like my productivity list,
I love that.
because a lot of people like to say I'm busy, and that sounds really good, and it's a really great at the end of the day excuse. But have you been productive?
Hmm.
Have you fed your focus? Have you fed your goals? And not just check things off a to-do list. It's like checklists don't grow leaders. Productivity grows leaders.
Yeah, I think that what happens in my mind when I hear busy versus productive is
Mhm.
busy feels like the hamster wheel, right? I'm
Yes.
stuck in a cycle of just doing
Yes.
what's urgent. Productivity is the important, right? It's actually in a direction and it's moving you towards that, up and out, right? And that's
Agreed.
kind of the difference there for me. I love that.
Mhm.
What one of the things that I'm curious about, you're a very creative and idea driven person, like from what I've
Yes.
seen. Where do your best ideas happen? Is it the journaling and
Mm.
meditation? Is it on,
Mhm.
runs or interacting with people? What does that look like for
Mhm.
you?
I definitely will say that my best creative moments come from talking to people.
Okay.
And when you think about the fact that leadership requires that you look at people not as human beings, or I'm sorry, not as human doings, but as human beings.
Hmm.
The best creativity, the best stories, the best experiences come from engaging with people that are unlike you.
Hmm.
So I really love making sure that I'm checking the areas and the categories to say, have I connected this quarter with somebody who's in a different age bracket, a different generation, a different socioeconomic status, a different marital status, a different sexual orientation, a different parental or just different area and culture and creed than I? Because if I'm feeding myself with more of the same, I can only breed the same ideas. I can only
Hmm.
develop the same ideas. But if I speak to somebody who has a different outlook, a different story, like, wouldn't that help me create a new idea
Yeah.
or think about an audience I haven't tapped into, think about something I haven't talked about or done a workshop on? And I feel like that's diversity. Like, that makes you a diverse leader. So you don't show up and you're a one-trick pony.
Right.
Because if you're going to be the leader who can not only read the room, but move the room, you have to speak to everybody in the room. So that's my kind of goal, is to just feed and breed these new ideas by making sure I'm around different types of people.
I love that. Not only read the room, right? Because that's what we're always like, oh, how, I want to read the room, want to make sure I'm saying the right things, but actually move, actually create impact and action. Oh, that's good. I'm writing that. That's so good. Wow. And as you're looking for those people, so you gave some examples of like the
Mhm,
different types of people, which is fantastic, and
mhm.
knowing and again, not the checklist, but being intentional about those people who
Yeah.
we're connecting with is so key. And when you're doing that, what did those types of conversations look like? So
Mhm,
is it you bringing up, hey, this is something that I might be working on or might want to bring forward, I want to get your perspective?
mhm.
Or what's kind of the intention behind getting those perspectives?
Absolutely. So really, truly, when you're thinking about being a leader in the 21st century, you're always looking for multiple pathways to
Mm,
share the story, multiple ways to capture the story, and then thinking about what your community and audience can learn from the story.
I love it.
So, for instance, I'll use you as an example. I just went live and I was like, whoever, that's the other piece, whoever this sees this or whoever needs this is going to see it. Not
Mm,
only because they may connect with me live, but I'm going to reproduce this content and snippets so that if you missed it, you're able to engage with it.
right.
You posted about it and you're so enthusiastic. I did a small deep dive into like your profile and your content. There was synergy. I literally just reached out and was like, hey, do you want to bring your voice to the IG live? It wasn't scripted, it was organic. And I feel like
Right.
we learned the best from those organic opportunities. And then look at what has dovetailed out of just that simple interaction.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I think leaders are in this box and they're thinking, if I can connect with this person, what is it that they can do for me or my company?
Hmm.
We need to, first of all, if we're in the 21st century still saying think outside the box, we need to get rid of the box. The box is gone, it's crumpled, it's in the recycling bin. That's
Yeah.
done. But come to it with an organic sense of, how can I serve you and your community? Is there anything now that I can connect you with? And tell me your story, because I may not be the connection, but somebody in my network may be the
Yes.
connector. But if you walk away and you say, I've served, and I've served in the capacity that I have in my bandwidth, I feel like there's always going to be something positive that comes out of it, even if
Mm,
it's connecting somebody with somebody else.
yeah. Two things there. One, that idea of building out the, like, getting outside of the echo chamber of, hey, I'm hearing the same things. I love that. And that's something that I'm so passionate about in this setting, even, right?
Yes,
I'm
yes,
looking for people in my space, right? The education and personal growth space, but I'm looking to get outside of just exactly the way I'm thinking, right? And that's
right.
huge. And I love that. The other thing is how you're coming into relationships saying it's not just a, hey, I'm going to get value and I'm going to give value, right? Because that's something I'm passionate about as a younger student, is
Mhm.
people have given to me with no and this is a great example, just you being willing to come on, right? Just being able to learn with no, expectation in return. And that's where my heart is, to be able to give, in terms of give content, give experiences, give anything, in that way. And so one of my questions for you as a follow-up there is there a situation or situations where you feel like it is okay to give with with expectation in return, or is it really just like, hey, we need to be able to leverage the connections that we have to impact other people? What's kind of your take on it?
Absolutely. So my take on that, even in the word limitless, is that I'm going to limit myself if I think that somebody is unattainable. So for instance, if I think that the person with 67,000 followers is unattainable to me, look at social media and what it's done to connect us all. So if I put limits on myself, I'm already done. Like I can probably take it on back to bed, because I have literally squelched that opportunity. Because let's connect it back to what you just said. If I don't see myself there mentally first, connecting with somebody who has 67,000 followers, it's definitely probably not going to happen. So I do go into it with, you could be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Maybe there's something that you see in me that I can be able to give to you, but also what it is that I can learn from you in your journey. I had a professor in college when I started my doctorate who said, Mary, you're going to climb the ladder, and I can tell you're going to climb fast, but I want you to remember this. Never forget to reach up to somebody who is where you want to be, but also reach back to someone who's trying to get to where you are. And I feel like
I love that.
That just keeps you grounded. You have to stay grounded in this game. So I never feel like this person's unattainable, but I never forget that somebody is trying to get to where I'm at. So it keeps me grateful.
That is so good. I love that. And being able to say, and I think we were talking about this just before as well, realizing that, hey, there are people who wish they could be in this Zoom call right now, just being where I am sitting, asking you the right questions. And so me realizing that, being able to say, hey, come, let me connect you, right? Like, let's do that. And it's truly you actually living that limitless mindset of, hey, connections, there is limitless opportunity, limitless. I know your affirmations today were about, wealth and financial freedom. There is limitless opportunity to make money, limitless opportunity to meet people. And so it's that type of thinking, and it's something that you actually live, which is so incredible.
Thank you so much. And I love that you even brought that up, because I think too, when you think about a 360 leader, and when I say 360, you can't just be great with people and just great with communication or great with outreach and relationship. You have to know your blind spots. And so I don't want to leave wealth unturned. I don't want to leave healthy relationships unturned. If you're going to be limitless and you're going to show up in the world with that type of mindset, got to deal with all the stuff, even the icky stuff that sometimes you don't want to talk about.
Right. I don't know. I believe you would have probably heard of the concept of like Johari's window.
Yeah.
So, and this is for my listeners, I think probably a good number of them might not be familiar with it, but essentially this idea of, it's 4 blocks. And one of them is what I know about myself that other people know, right? That public facing opportunity or facade that I'm putting on, the things that I know about myself that other people don't know, right? The things that I'm hiding, the things that other people know that I don't know. And that would be like things that I'm not self-aware about, right?
Exactly.
Like, and that's where you're talking about, right? Things that other people are going to know about me or be able to tell me if I open up that door for honesty. If I say, hey, if you be honest with me, I'm not going to be upset about it, whether it's team members, friends, family, right? Because a lot of times I think that's it, especially for us as young people, we think, oh, I know everything, I know it all, and then people are hesitant to come to us with criticism or constructive feedback. And so that's just another thought to build onto that.
Yes. And Parker, you just made me think of something too. When you think of our young people, and you and I have talked about this before, such an untapped resource, because we have invited, and then one of my biggest, I wrote my book about student stakeholders in schools. Why is education the only business that does not invite its end user to the table? You will never go to a bank and enroll all of your funds and savings and checkings and they not ask you about your experience. You will never lay your head on a Hilton hotel bed and them not ask you about your experience. You will never travel to a resort and they're like, how was it? But yet in education, we say for 7.5 hours a day, please come here for 5 days a week and we're going to talk to you. And we're never going to ask you about your experience. Students will tell you everything you want to know. Why are we not only building tables, but why are we not bringing extra chairs to the table and saying, please sit down in kindergarten, in middle school, in high school, in college, and saying, tell me about your experience and what we can do to create better systems of teaching and learning that actually appeal to what you need, not what we think you need, what you need.
That's powerful. That's really, what would that look like? Do you think? Just run with me for a second, because this is something I'm passionate about. Is education is, especially during COVID, we've kind of seen this like, oh wait, like what really is education? Like what are we really doing? And so like, what would that look like for students to be able to be more involved in feedback or the process of where education is going?
Absolutely. It starts with the pure abandonment of the most dangerous phrase in our English language, which is, we've always done it that way. The leader has to decide that they're going to be courageous enough, a risk taker, and have the wherewithal to stand on the fact that we're going to do it differently. The second thing is, we have to invite our students in a way that makes them sort of feel comfortable with the conversation, which means we actually have to have a relationship with them. It can't be a pass by, in the hallway. It has to be consistent. And then when they come to the table, and I talk about this in my book, asking them, how are you today? We would be surprised how, if we started at a young age with the emotional language and wherewithal with our students, we would then have adults in our world, global citizens, who are emotionally aware, emotionally anchored, and able to be emotionally receptive to those types of conversations.
So good.
Then asking them about the celebrations and challenges that they've had so we can actually understand what's important to them. They do not care that we have a new English language arts policy and have put new textbooks in the classroom. They do not care that we have adopted Canva as our new outlook for social media. They care about the fact that they just celebrated Chinese New Year, and they care about the fact they just got a new baby brother, or they care about the fact that their parent who was recently incarcerated has just come home and is with them for their 3rd grade year. That's what they care about. And then we ask them about the challenges. And when we ask them about their challenges, we don't devalue their challenges. And we also don't shun their challenges and say, oh, well, you don't know how it really is. No, because their challenge and their microcosm, their world is authentic. And when we invalidate that, we never will get the opportunity again to hear their truth.
Well, I'm just gonna let that one sit for today. Wow. No, and you hit it right there at the beginning and built on it wonderfully. That it's the way we've always done it is not the starting point, right? Because that flawed starting place of, this is how we've always done it, and this is, what we're going to continue doing. It doesn't work. And then building on that with what are they thinking about relationships and challenges and things, ideas that they're bringing to the table. And I think that that's so powerful. And it's something that I am working with friends on what can that look like for students, even outside of school? How can we supplement some of these things while there's this change taking place? So it's so powerful. And with respect to your time, I want to see where can people follow up if they enjoyed this conversation, which literally felt like 2 minutes long and it was 25 minutes long. Where can people follow up with you and see more of your work?
Absolutely. So definitely follow me on Instagram at The Limitless Lady, or head over to my website, which is www.bealimitlessleader.com. And of course, it's Dr. Mary Hemphill on LinkedIn. And really, let's just build this community. If you're courageous and determined and you know that you are right there on the precipice of tapping into your limitless self, let's connect, let's inspire one another, and let's learn alongside one another.
I love it. Like I said, everyone, that literally on my end, I hope it was the same on your end, that you guys are just absolutely taking away a ton, but literally felt like the shortest conversation I've ever had in my life. So Dr. Mary, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing in our community, because we are so close, which is awesome. Yes. But excited to see what we're going to be able to do together. And thanks everybody for listening. Check us out at Taking a Breath Podcast, and we'll see you again next week for more.
Thanks for listening to the Taking a Breath podcast with Parker Mays.